Liverpool dropping points against Manchester United on Sunday. There's been a lot of talk around them missing chances. What have you found?
Well, they dominated the majority of the game at Old Trafford, but only walked away with a point. That's despite having 27 shots and an expected goals total of 3.6. And across the season, Jurgen Klopp's side lead the Premier League for shots taken by a long way too. They've created more big chances than their title rivals too. These are situations where a player should reasonably be expected to score. Their expected goals total is the highest in the league by a significant margin. But despite that, their shot accuracy, season ranked are just 14th this season in the Premier League. Their shot conversion rate and big chance conversion rate is down too. They are, though, still second when it comes to goals scored, crucially. But they've been so good to watch this season, haven't they, from an attacking point of view? But to think things could be even better, they've been slightly more clinical in front of goal.
Yeah, how much of a concern is this then, guys?
Yeah, I think it is a bit of a concern, but I think the problem with it is there's no magic solution. You know, how do you get a striker to suddenly start scoring? And I think we should say they've scored at least twice in their last 5 games. So they're operating at a very high level, and it's just that extra percentage we're talking about here. But, you know, the main culprit's really Darwin Núñez. He's missed 24 out of 30 big chances, which is such a high ratio, and Luis Diaz 10 out of 16. So, you know, you think that those players have just taken a few more chances, and maybe, you know, they wouldn't have been out the FA Cup. Maybe they wouldn't have dropped 4 points to Man United across 2 games this season. And in a title race, it's so tight at the top there. It's going to be those small margins that decide it, and I'm sure Jurgen Klopp won't want to spend the summer sort of ruining those missed moments, which could have made this season for Liverpool even better.
I think that's it, isn't it? Fine margins making a big difference.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Diogo Jota's return should help in that sense. He's coming back from injury, isn't he? 9 Premier League goals this season. And you talk about the wastefulness of some of the other forwards, but Jota has scored 5 of his 7 big chances. You know, he is someone who reliably buries those big chances and is capable of scoring more difficult chances as well. You know, he's a fantastic 2-footed finisher, so he's someone who should give them a big boost in front of goal, and he does seem to make them stronger. I mean, you see an indication of that in the fact they've only actually lost 1 of the 18 games he's started this season. So I think that's a big positive for them. Hopefully he can come in and make an impact for them.
Yeah, well, the game is at Anfield, and you just wonder, James, don't you, how much, you know, the Anfield factor can play a part.
Yeah, it's going to play a huge role between now and the end of the season. It's certainly been a fortress ever since that bizarre period a few seasons ago when they lost 6 home matches in a row. When they play at home, they tend to win, and they barely ever lose. In fact, since their last competitive defeat at Anfield, that came in February 2023 against Real Madrid, a 5-2 defeat, you'll remember, and even when Liverpool actually led 2-0. But since then, a win rate of nearly 85%, and they average 3 goals per game. And their Europa League record is equally impressive, actually. They've lost just 1 of their last 25 matches in the competition, that last defeat coming in 2012. And that impressive home record is a contributing factor behind the Opta supercomputer, making them strong favourites to lift the trophy next month, giving them a chance of 35.2%. In terms of their nearest challengers, Opta give Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen a 24% chance. AC Milan are third favourites. And the Europa League is the one major trophy that has eluded Jurgen Klopp, having lost in the final in his first season in charge. Can he end his last season in charge with the trophy?
Oh, goodness me. Yeah, do you see it as Liverpool favourites?
Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, just ahead of Leverkusen for me. But obviously, you know, depending on what they do against West Ham, then you've got Milan and Roma, some great names still left in the competition. But I think importantly for Liverpool, they're on the other side of the draw. So Liverpool play Benfica or Marseille if they get through. But it's a step up tonight for them against Atalanta, certainly compared to what they had against Sparta Prague, where they won that game so easily, or that tie so easily. Atalanta obviously knocked out Sporting in the last round. Ruben Amorim's Sporting, and could be at Anfield next year. So, yeah, interesting storylines on Atalanta's side, but I think their form's not great at the moment. Won just 2 of their last 9. They're not really the force that they were maybe a couple of seasons ago. So Liverpool, big favourites, I think, to win this tie, get to the semi-finals, and then kick on from there and maybe lift that trophy in Dublin, the final game of Jurgen Klopp's reign.
Imagine that. Some party it would be, wouldn't it? Where do you think this competition would rank in terms of priorities for Klopp and what he might do with sort of squad rotation? Because, of course, always looking ahead to next weekend.
Well, he has used the tournament to rotate, hasn't he? If we look back at their appearances so far, Alisson, Van Dijk, Szoboszlai, only 1 start in the Europa League this season. McAllister and Alexander-Arnold, only 2 starts. Salah, only 3 starts. So that has been his kind of way of dealing with the tournament so far, to rotate in this and to remain as strong as possible in the Premier League. I think now probably that changes just because you are in the latter stages. Atalanta obviously are a stronger opponent, so I think he will go strong. I think he'll want to finish his tenure with as many trophies as possible, and this is an opportunity. This is a trophy he hasn't won, of course, and it'll be a nice sort of way to finish his tenure, to win the one trophy that eluded him in his first season. So yeah, I think he'll probably go strong, won't he?
I think what's really interesting is if you look at the Premier League fixture list, so around this tie, they've got Crystal Palace at home and Fulham away, 2 games you'd expect them to win. But then if you go to the semi-finals, the games they play around that is Tottenham and Aston Villa, coming down to the crunch end of the season. So they finish with Tottenham, Villa, Wolves are their final 3 games. And they could have the semi-finals around those Tottenham Villa games. So that's when it really becomes tricky, I think, in terms of team selection. Imagine if they're still level points with Arsenal or a point ahead of City at that stage. It's real high stakes then, and you're trying to battle in 2 different competitions.
Oh, where do you see him in the title race, do you think, Nick?
Well, obviously the draw against Man United was a setback. I still think they have a really good chance. I think the next few weeks could be crucial for them. In the space of 9 days between the 18th and the 27th of September, they have April, I'm getting ahead of myself. They have 4 consecutive away games in that period. They've got Atlanta, Fulham, Everton, West Ham. After that, they could also have the away leg of their Europa League semi-final. So that is a really, really taxing run, isn't it? A really difficult run, all that travel, all those, the preparation, the short turnarounds. If they can navigate that period without dropping too many points in the Premier League, then they'll be in a great position. But I think we will know a lot more about their chances after that.
I think they're probably the team out of the 3 with the least pressure on them, though, because I don't think anyone really expected them to be right up here this season after the nightmare they had last year. It's such a huge step up and improvement from them. And I think beyond expectations, really, in terms of what Klopp was thinking this season might be at the start of the year.